Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Sara Newman, and I'm so happy you're joining me for this episode of Saturday with Sara. Today we're exploring the Christmas greetings collection from our friends at Stamperia. We have papers, we have rub-ons, and we have chipboard die-cut embellishments to go along. I'm going to move aside this package of chipboard and also the rub-ons just for now so that we can take a closer look at the paper pack. There are 10 sheets of 8x8 double-sided pattern papers in here, and you can see some of the designs as we flip through. It's an absolutely stunning color palette, some blues, you've got some nice dark red in there, lots of images of stars, florals, bells, Christmas ornaments. You've also got some fabric-inspired patterns, as you can see here, as well as a couple of sheets of cutout images. So you can see this sheet here has easy to cut out elements which can be used on the front of your card or the inside. One side will have an image in it, and then the other side gives you the option to fill that empty space with your own images, either die cuts, you can add some of the rub-ons, maybe a dazzle or two, whatever you'd like to do. So lots of options to go there. Here's some more of those beautiful designs. More cutouts. These are great to use in combination with a circle die. It makes that a little bit easier. And then on the inside back cover and also the inside front cover, you've got even more cutouts. So that's our patterned paper pack. Then we've also got 2 packs of rub-ons. So you can see them here. Now you've got the Christmas greeting angel rub-ons, which are right here. Beautiful angel, as well as a nice tall tree here. Perfect for a card focal. You also have some sentiments on there as well. Then we've also got the Christmas greeting deer rub-on, so you can see the 2 deer, as well as some florals, some birds, that beautiful clock. Now these are really easy to use, not only as part of a background, but also could be a card focal or on the inside of your card. And we'll show you how easy those are to apply. Then finally, we have the pack of 43 sturdy die-cut chipboard embellishments. I know it's really tricky to see them in the package here, so I've spread them out onto 2 pieces of cardstock so you can see the designs a bit more easily. Lots of variety of designs and also sizes, and that's really nice. You can use some of these as your card focals. You can also add them on the inside of your card as well. Now you've got some smaller accent images on there too, which is really nice. Here's another sheet so that you can see everything that you're getting inside that package. So again, 43 sturdy die-cut chipboard embellishments to go along with the rub-ons, as well as those beautiful pattern papers. Of course, everything is totally color coordinated, so it's easy to create gorgeous, elegant Christmas cards with a vintage style. So as you can see, we have a lot to explore, and I'm really glad you're here today. Come play with us. Let's start with this easy card. I think this is a great example of how beautifully the elements in today's collection can come together. So I've started off with a pattern paper as my background. I've got another strip of coordinating pattern paper going down the center here. I've got some chipboard bells as my card focal and then a little cutout for my card sentiment. Now let's take a look at the supplies that I'm working with. So first of all, my background paper here is this sheet. So I'm not using this gorgeous border on there. I'm going to save that for something else. But I'm using this beautiful light floral design. And I've paired that with the geometric from this pattern. So again, another border on here that I've simply cut off and mixing and matching just these 2 portions of the paper. Now, a couple of design elements that I like to incorporate when I'm mixing pattern papers. So first, I've got the floral design paired with a geometric pattern. And this is a classic design element and one that you'll see used a lot in home decor. I'm also mixing a light and a dark pattern for contrast. And speaking of contrast, when combining 2 heavily patterned papers, I like to use a solid cardstock in between. White, black, whatever color you want to use. This just creates a nice visual space and separates the two designs. So you can see it without and with. I just really like having that clarity in between those two pattern papers. So what I've done here for the front of my card is created the strip with the white edging on here, glued it on top of my floral pattern paper, and then trimmed the entire piece down to be slightly smaller than the front of my card. And this creates a frame around the outside edge that I really like. I've also inked the outside edges with my favorite, the Dove Gray ink from Hunky Dory, and that just creates some nice soft shading and again a bit of contrast in there. Now my card focal is a combination of two bell chipboard pieces. Let me show you those. You've got a large bell and a smaller one. Now the large bell is glued straight down, and then the smaller bell is popped up with a little bit of foam tape for dimension. Because these are both patterned, I wanted to have a clear focal area so they didn't get lost in the pattern paper. So I'm using a nested oval and scallop die. So those are from Hot Off the Press. The oval is inked with Dove Gray and then mounted on foam tape, and the scallop is just glued straight down. So let me show you here as we're looking at these pattern papers and the bell. If I simply pop this down onto that background paper, there is a lot of competition there, especially if I add another element on there as well. But if I bring in a piece of solid cardstock and put those on top, then I've got a little bit more of a spotlight space. And if I want to make that space a little bit larger, I can add in the scalloped nested portion. So you can see how that will create a really nice platform, if you will, for that focal image, and just ensures that everything is standing out visually. So that's what I was doing with the front of the card and with those gorgeous chipboard die cut elements. Now my sentiment down here is one of the cutouts. This is from the inside front of the book. So I've just snipped out this little sentiment there and popped that up on some foam tape to be down at the bottom of my card. Now when I open the card, you can see I've kept things pretty simple. I've got a gingham border dazzle going down along the edge here, and then I've also got a rub-on sentiment as well. Now these are both fabulous kinds of embellishments, and we're going to take a closer look at them with the other cards in today's webisode. This card features a rub-on focal with this beautiful winter deer image you can see here. Now Stamperia is well known for their gorgeous rub-ons, so let's see how easy they are to apply. Now the set that I'm working with for this card is the winter deer, but let's take a look at the Christmas angel set for today's demo. So I really love this beautiful angel image on there, and I thought what we could do is have a look at transferring him onto one of the cutouts from the paper pack. Of course, you can do your rub-on transfers onto solid cardstock, but I thought this would be really fun. And especially in this design, you've got a nice soft kind of faux texture background on there. So let's take a look. Now what I've done is trimmed out the little angel. Now when I did this, I've kept the two liner sheets together. And you just want to make sure when you're handling this that you don't touch the reverse side of the rub-on. That can transfer onto your fingers. It can also go lots of other places. So make sure you know where you want to place your image before you start pulling those two apart. So I know that I want to put him here. I'm just going to pull off that backing sheet and then kind of position. Let's see, I think I'm straight. We'll place our angel right down here. And I'm going to smooth this down with my finger. There's a little bit of stick to the back of the rub-ons, so it's not going to go sliding around, which is really nice. Then what I need to do is simply burnish this design in place. And I'm using a bone folder for this. And I'm just going to gently but firmly rub this so that the design will transfer. And I'm using the angle of the tip of this bone folder. And I'm going to make sure I go around the edges here and then across the center. And then I'm just going to gently and slowly pull off this top liner. Now, if I do this slowly, if I happen to catch any areas that maybe didn't transfer so well, I can position this back in place and then continue burnishing that. But it looks like I did an okay job, and I've got my angel transferred here onto my cutout. Super simple and easy to do, and it really does create a beautiful effect on your cards. So back to the card design, you can see again my little deer on here as my card focal. Now I'm also using a layered nested oval die cut as my focal, and I've topped it with the chipboard bow and added another sentiment cutout down at the bottom. This fabric inspired pattern paper, let me bring this in so you can see it. This is matted onto white cardstock, and then I've layered it on top of the star pattern paper. Let me bring that in as well. So you can see these two designs together. They go together beautifully, but there's a lot of pattern going on. And I wanted to soften this background paper, so I placed some white vellum on top. You can see how that kind of mutes things down. And then I've layered my fabric pattern paper on top, again using some white cardstock to separate those two patterns. So it gives me the softness and the dimension, but it isn't competing with those two designs, and it allows the focal image on here to really stand out. And of course, I love the way vellum feels, and I think it just creates a really nice effect. Then for my card inside, I have a leftover strip of pattern paper. Of course, you got to save them all. Got another cutout image from the paper pack, and I have this deer rub-on here in the corner. And that's just to coordinate and bring everything together. I've got another card project to share with you here. And this one is another great example of how to use those pattern papers. So one way to separate between two paper patterns is with a dazzle border. So on the background sheet here, I've used the gingham dazzle border to create just a bit of shine between the two patterns on that sheet. And I think you can see as I move that, the shine of that gorgeous dazzle. So let me show you these dazzles. They were new to me, and they come in a variety of different colors. Of course, I love the gold one. And you can see here that beautiful gingham design. Really easy to use and a great way to add just a little touch to your card. Now, rather than just putting the dazzle onto the paper, I placed it onto a strip of white cardstock for some extra contrast. Now, my focal elements are square cutouts from the paper pack, placed as diamonds and then accented with chipboard ornament pieces. Then for my card inside, I have a bit of solid cardstock from the Sparkling Season cardstock pack. I added a circle cut image in here. Now you can certainly cut out these circle images by hand if you wanted to, but I have a little trick for you, and that is a circle die cut. So let's move aside this card here, and you can see the circle cutting die is going to make your life just a little bit easier. I'm using the hot off the press 12 circle and scallop cutting dies, and this is the 2 1/4 inch circle. And that's going to fit right on there. Run it through your die cutting machine. You will have a little bit of an extra edge on there, but it will give you a perfect circle. And then here I've also used the nested scallop circle so that I've got a bit of a mat. Then up at the top, I've got a little bird rub-on to finish off the inside of the card. Our final card project features a product that I think works beautifully for winter and Christmas themed cards, and that's diamond dust. And I've applied this to the chipboard flower here, just this little one. And as I'm tilting this, I think you can see that it's giving a sparkly, shiny effect that's still pretty soft and subtle, and it does allow the design on the flower to show through. So let's talk a bit about diamond dust. This is a clear crushed glass that you just apply with glue and then tap off the excess and let it dry, and you've got a really beautiful effect. And even though this is crushed glass, it's not going to hurt your fingers when you use it. So let me show you how this works. I'm going to move aside my card, and I'm going to bring in a folded piece of scrap paper, kind of like when you're doing heat embossing and you want to catch the excess embossing powder to put it back into the jar. And I've got my chipboard embellishment here, got my diamond dust ready to go, and I just need to use a white acrylic glue, something like the Cosmic Shimmer acrylic glue. Now what I've done is put a little bit of my Cosmic Shimmer glue into one of the fine tip glue applicator bottles from Crafter's Companion. I really like this because it's got a fine tip nozzle on here. It comes with a little pin stopper. And this is great because you can get out just a little bit of glue, especially for this technique. You don't need to have a whole lot, but you do want to make sure that it's not kind of going everywhere on your project. So fine precision is really useful in this case. So I'm going to apply this on here, make sure I get to the tips of the petals and around on here. And then what I'll do, similar to heat embossing, I'm just going to sprinkle some of the diamond dust right on here. And then what I like to do is kind of fold this up, press this down so that I make sure that the diamond dust makes contact with that glue. Press it with my fingers. Again, it's not going to cut my hands. And then I'm going to tap off the excess on here. Make sure that I don't have any bits of it kind of coming off the edges. And then there we go. I've got a pretty sparkly little embellishment to use on my card project. And then I can just funnel the rest of this back into my jar, again, just like with embossing powder. And then I'll just need to let the glue dry and I'm ready to put it to use. So I'm going to bring back in my original card and we can take another look at this. You can see my embellishment here is layered on top of a larger flower. That flower is printed right onto this pattern paper. So I've just simply trimmed this section away for the front of my card. And then I've brought in, let's handle this carefully, I brought in my diamond dusted embellishment and then simply foam tape that right on top. So it's a great way to combine the pattern papers with those chipboard embellishments. It really creates a nice effect. Now for the rest of my card here, I've covered the card front with a solid green cardstock from the Sparkling Season cardstock pack. Added a piece of pattern paper on top, and then I've also used this leftover strip of pattern paper, inked and popped that up with some foam tape. Now this flower down here is a rub-on, and I think it looks nice as a balance to the larger floral printed on the paper. Then I've got my diamond dusted embellishment on here. I've got another chipboard piece here, so I've got some nice dimension. The little bird is also a chipboard embellishment, and then I've got a bit of jute twine on here for softness. Then for my card inside, I've got another strip of leftover pattern paper. You know, I save all of those, but I do put them to use. I have a cutout square with a rub-on sentiment on there, plus some rub-on accents in here as well. And that is our final card project of the day today. So let's get these out and we can have a bit of a look. Our big thank you to our friends at Stamperia for this absolutely gorgeous collection, yet another gorgeous collection from them. And a special thanks to you for joining me today. We're so glad that you're here and we're really happy that you're a part of our Paper Wishes family. Do feel free to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately and you can see them below. We've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, see this webisode on paperwishes.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, have a look in the description box below this video. You'll find a link that will take you to our Paper Wishes webisodes page and you can see everything I just mentioned. If you enjoyed our video today, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps people to find our channel. And don't forget to subscribe. We create 3 to 5 videos each week, so there's always something fun to inspire your creative spirit.